At the bottom of page 3 of the calendar, Senate Bill second reading, we have Senate Bill 3019. Leader Tarver. Ms. Clerk, please read the bill.
Senate Bill 3019, a bill for next swing finance. This bill was read a second time previously. No commitments. Floor Amendments 1 and 2 have been approved for consideration. Floor Amendment number 1 is offered by Representative Tarver.
Leader Tarver on the amendment.
I think this amendment is just a technical, it's just a shell. The substantive amendment is number 2, and then there's an additional amendment, number 3, that clarifies one matter that is not at my fingertips. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of it. I apologize. This is a gut and replace. I apologize. Do you want me to? Any further explanation of what the amendment is?
Representative Tarver moved for the adoption of floor amendment number 1. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, any appearance as having an amendment is adopted. Any further amendments, the clerk?
Floor Amendment number 2 is offered by Representative Tarver and has been approved for consideration.
Leader Tarver on amendment 2.
It makes a couple corrections to amendment number 1. There was an issue with the time frame, I believe, for the pause on the gas tax. Changed it from 1 year to 6 months, and a couple other small technical changes.
Leader Tarver moved for the adoption of floor amendment number 2. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, any appearance as having an amendment is adopted. Any further amendments, the clerk?
No further amendments. The motions are filed.
Third reading, please the bill on third reading.
Senate Bill 3019, a bill for next swing finance. Third reading the Senate bill.
Leader Tarver.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the revenue package for FY27. I'm going to go through a few high-level things, and certainly I'm open for additional questions. This, as you know, in the governor's introduced budget, there was a net operating loss that was estimated to generate, I believe, $269 million. It's a phase-in. We've now reduced that to 15% for the initial phase-in, and it's estimated to generate $300 million. There's a social media fee, which was also in the governor's introduced budget, which is estimated to generate $200 million. This adds two new fees, revenue matters, one on digital assets, the other for fantasy sports. Those combined are projected to bring in $65 million. In addition to that, there is a motor fuel sales tax redirect that would hold the transit fund harmless, but then allow for $150 million to be transferred to GRF and an additional $20 million for the downstate road fund. There is also Section 1202 decoupling listed as well. There is a targeted ad tax, and I believe that covers the larger matters. Happy to answer any questions.
Any discussion? Leader Ellick is recognized.
Thank you. Will the sponsor yield?
In case he will.
Thank you. Thank you, Leader Tarver. First, I think we probably ought to start by talking about the changes in Amendment 2, which just came straight to the floor without going to committee and has been hastily brought to us at this late hour. So can you go through what has changed in Amendment 2 versus what we heard in committee earlier?
Sure. The first thing that jumps out to me is that the pause on the gas tax, instead of being for 1 year, should now be 6 months. I do believe there was, for some odd reason, an extension related to the lottery provider, the private management company provider. And instead of 3 years, it is 1 year, is my understanding.
Thank you. And in committee, we talked about some provisions in there related to farmland assessments. I believe in committee you are going to have those removed, but it sounds like that's not part of the Amendment 2. Is that correct?
It has come to my attention that it was kept in and is an extension for 5 years. It extends the property tax assessment treatment for vegetative filter strips, something that I do not have in my district.
I was thinking that the farmland assessment portion related to I'm probably going to not say this right, but like the productability of the soil and the land versus the fair market value. So that's what I was thinking of when I was talking about the farmland assessment provisions.
Can you tell me which section you're looking at so I can make sure we're looking at the same exact thing?
Do you know, Frank? I don't have the section number in front of me, but maybe we can come back to that.
Okay.
Okay. Leader Tarver, is there any property tax relief in here?
There is no specific property tax relief in this revenue package.
Thank you. We discussed in committee, I asked you about data center tax credits. I know the governor had a proposal that he would like to have paused those lucrative data center tax credits for billion-dollar corporations. Is that in this bill, to pause those data center tax credits?
There is no pause in the revenue package.
No pause. Okay, thank you. The social media platform fee, I wanted to talk about that too. Our analysis shows that this could generate approximately $200 million of increased taxes. Do you have that same dollar amount, or did you have a range?
I believe that is the number that was in the governor's introduced budget. Yes.
Thank you. That reminds me where we got it then. That's a lot of money. Is there a provision in this bill that these companies can charge these new fees back to the users of the platform?
My understanding is they cannot charge those fees back to the users of the platform.
Can they come up with other schemes such as subscription fees or something like that that would basically make up for this revenue?
The short answer is no, without being subject to litigation.
Interesting. Okay. Is it possible that these social media platforms will just pull out of the state of Illinois and not offer their platforms to Illinois users? Are we killing TikTok in Illinois, Leader?
I think that it's always plausible that they could do so. I'm no soothsayer. I doubt that it will happen, but it is always plausible they could make that determination, yes.
Okay. I guess we'll see what happens there. If we could go back to the motor fuel tax, I guess the pause on the increase that's supposed to go into effect on July 1st. You said that in the original amendment it was a year, now it's 6 months. So what is the estimate, or what is the reason for that change to 6 months?
It was always negotiated to be 6 months, and unfortunately we drafted it at a year.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure, it had always been negotiated that it was supposed to be for 6 months, give us a chance to revisit it prior to the next budget address, and then look at it again. But it was supposed to be 6 months, and unfortunately we had a scrivener's error.
Thank you. Do you have a dollar estimate of how much that will change?
Yeah, it's 75 million.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sure, 75 million.
75 million, and that's for the 6-month time period. Is that correct?
Sorry, so can- $37.5 million. 75 million was for 1 year. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. On my quick back of the napkin math, it'll save me about $4 in 6 months. So, but I'd maybe drive a little less than some others. So, and then we've discussed both in veto session and now the decoupling provisions. It seems like we're decoupling once again from federal tax laws that are beneficial to Americans. So can you explain how we're decoupling again, and then how much of a tax increase is that expected to be?
A tax increase?
Correct.
Give me 1 moment.
Revenue enhancement, would you rather I said?
Just 1 moment. Let me look at my notes here. It'll take multiple years for the revenue to come because of the way that it's written. And are you asking me how it'll work?
I'm just asking, like, what's the provision that we're
Please bring your
decoupling
question
from the
to a
federal tax
close.
code?
I'm sorry, I apologize. I did not hear the actual question.
That's okay. I just was looking for an explanation of what we are decoupling from on the federal tax, but I know I'm supposed to bring my provision or my questions to a close. So I think it relates to small business tax
Qualified small
stock
business.
sales.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
It is.
And I'm sorry if I missed it. Did you tell me how much of a tax increase that would be or what we're estimating? I think maybe our notes show 300 million, but I'm not sure if that's correct.
You said 300 million? I don't have that number.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Representative Emmons is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the sponsor yield for a quick
In case you
question.
will.
Thank you. Can you just explain for us the digital ad threshold, which was initially, I think, at 150 million and moved to a million? Can you clarify that adjustment?
I'm sorry, one more time for the question, please. I apologize.
Under the digital ad tax, there's a threshold that was 150 million, and it was moved, and I don't know if there was a drafting error either way, to a million. Can you explain the digital ad threshold provision and what the amount is?
Yes, and that is a bit of a moving target. It was my understanding, me individually, that was always the number that I had seen as well. I do understand on the Senate side that $1 million threshold is what they felt they needed in order to get the votes to pass a budget. And so my understanding is that because this is not a program that's already stood up, that we'll have a chance to come back and revisit that because, again, nobody's collecting revenue right now at all. This is just giving us the ability to set the framework. So that will certainly be a conversation.
Thank you very much for clarifying.
Representative Moore is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the sponsor yield?
In case you will.
Leader Tarver, thank you for your work on this. I know this is some very complicated issues. I want to start with the digital advertising tax. The state of Maryland enacted an almost identical tax in 2021 and has been in litigation for over 5 years. Litigation that caused an expensive rebate expenditure for the state and is still unresolved. What are the differences between this legislation and Maryland's?
Well, I think one of the primary differences is that we're not collecting anything. We anticipate that this language in and of itself is likely to be challenged. And so all we're doing is ensuring that if we're successful in that challenge, we have a framework, already in place so that we could actually collect the targeted ad tax.
Okay, so based on how I read as it is today, the bill imposes a 10% tax on gross receipts, not net income, with no tiered rate structure, meaning a small digital advertising firm with $1 million in revenue and very thin margins could owe more in this tax than it does receive in profits. Was this taken into consideration?
So thank you for the question. And as I was saying with Representative Ammons as well, this is something we're going to have an ongoing conversation about. I certainly understand the concern that you're laying out, and I appreciate you bringing it to my attention personally and also on the floor. We have time to come back and look at this. Again, we're not collecting any money right now. We are looking to establish a framework and to go from there.
Thank you. And do we know how much revenue the digital advertising tax will raise?
You're going to love this, okay? Because I've heard all kind of different numbers, but let me just say it this way. Roughly estimates at $200 million to upwards of $800 million.
That's
In
quite
other
the
words,
range.
we don't know.
There you go. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the crypto tax.
Sure.
Does the crypto tax apply to peer-to-peer transfers between individuals or
No,
only?
my understanding is, I didn't mean to cut you off, I apologize. But I believe that it applies when there's a broker involved.
So it does not apply to peer-to-peer transfers between individuals?
Correct, it does not apply to peer-to-peer.
Thank you. And the bill defines transfers to include moving a digital asset from one account of a customer to another account of the same customer. Does that mean an individual who moves their own Bitcoin from one exchange to another, say Coinbase to Kraken, would then trigger a taxable event?
As long as it's not through a brokerage, the tax will not apply.
Okay, and this is some very complicated issues, and I know these are the governor's proposals. Was someone from the governor's team in committee to help answer any of these questions?
You know, I normally don't like rhetorical questions, but in this instance, I'm gonna I'm gonna respond. No, no one was there to in committee.
To the bill.
To the bill.
This is my second year, and each year I've had the pleasure of serving on the Revenue Committee. Each year, the governor proposes new taxes and fees, over $1 billion during my 2 years here in the legislature. That does not happen without a very lengthy legislation that can be complicated to interpret, even for many lawyers in this room. Every year, we know the Revenue Committee is going to meet on May 31st to discuss and clarify these proposals. Let's take this year. There's a digital advertising tax and a crypto tax that are certainly going to be litigated. There are questions with how the digital media tax will be collected and if the state runs the risk of refunding the money we collect if the lawsuits are successful. We are not even sure how much we will collect. These are important questions with answers that affect every taxpayer in Illinois. Yet when the Revenue Committee meets, the governor's team
Please
is
bring your
nowhere
remarks
to
to
be
a
found.
close.
Every year, they reach deeper and deeper into our wallets. And every year, they can't even be bothered to show up to say thank you.
Representative Sonosky is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the bill.
The bill.
Congrats to the governor and the majority party, I guess. 57 new taxes and fees introduced since the governor first took office, totaling tens of billions of dollars in new taxes on Illinois residents. And what do we do today? We're going to add a digital tax, a crypto tax, social media platform tax, fantasy sports tax, more business taxes. Let's get that number up to 100 as soon as we possibly can. There's just no end to taxes in sight with you guys in charge. Excessive spending, hundreds of millions of dollars in pork projects, no accountability, constant tax increases. And guess what? Taxpayers, no relief for property taxes whatsoever. We're #1 in the state in Illinois, and you won't do a thing to address property taxes. Instead, you find ways to spend more money. And the other thing the Illinois residents get, as was mentioned, you're going to get a couple bucks off when you go and buy school supplies this fall. Wow, that's great. Thanks a lot, guys. And oh yeah, we're not going to raise the gas tax in July. We're just going to wait a couple more months so we can raise it at the end of the year after election time. A lot of courage coming out of that side of the aisle and the governor. So congratulations again on driving up the cost for Illinois residents, spending more taxes, raising more tax dollars. I would urge a no vote. We need fiscal sanity. I would also ask for a verification if this bill were to pass.
Representative Scheer is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had a question for the sponsor.
You yield.
My question is about the digital ad tax. I just need to get this clear. I have constituents at home calling about this. Would you commit? Now, I need to back up a minute. What I'm talking about is this is not about the revenue coming in, coming out, and affecting individuals. What I'm talking about is we don't want to harm companies that will just blow them out of the water. And if this indeed says 1 million, when we thought the agreement was $150 million threshold, will you commit to that? And I understand we're going through a lot of things in the court, but we don't want to run businesses out either. So I'm planning on voting for the revenue, but I need to get this straight.
I apologize. I didn't hear the question.
Okay, so repeating the question, would you commit to a $150 million threshold on the digital ad tax once it works its way through the courts? This would be a cap that they wouldn't pay unless it went over the threshold. I shouldn't use the word cap. I should use the word threshold.
No, I understand the question now. Thank you. I appreciate it. I can't unilaterally commit to changing the threshold. What I can tell you is that I share your concern. I have the same understanding. And so, again, this is not something that is taken, We're not collecting any money right now. No business is being harmed. No business is being run out at all. There's going to be a challenge no matter what, which I believe gives us opportunity to come back to the table and to try to figure out what is the appropriate threshold. You have my commitment in that regard, yes.
All right, thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask that question.
Thank you for asking it.
President Kennedy is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to request extended debate.
Please continue.
Thank you so much. Representative, this is your second year running our revenue package. I was hoping you could talk a little bit about your process of arriving at what we see before us.
The process for the revenue package?
Yeah. How do you figure out what's going to go in it, what all the good ideas are?
Well, the governor introduces his budget with his revenue ideas, and then obviously, as a caucus, we determine whether or not we want to support those things. And to the extent that we support them, they find their way into the revenue package. To the extent that we don't support them, they don't find their way there. And we try to think of different and additional revenue opportunities. Separate from that, for members, I try to make sure that we review every single bill. We ask you to just simply fill out a form, let us know that you actually spoke to somebody on the committee, and that you want the bill either called for a vote or a subject matter hearing, and then we go through that process for all 420 some odd bills.
It sounds like a lot of bills. Do you spend much time working with staff and researching concepts?
I spend quite a bit of time with staff who are all brighter than I am, and I enjoy that time.
And when you're looking at the package, how do you prioritize what you're going to focus on for the year?
Well, typically it depends on what our general theme is with our caucus, what we are looking to accomplish. And so those things that line up with our values are things that are prioritized, and the things that don't line up with our values or that may need a little bit more time to be flushed out and vetted, they don't rise to the final revenue package.
I think that sounds like a really powerful way to be putting things together, thinking about the people of Illinois, your constituents, everyone across the state. Do you have to also consider the budget? We talk about the budget as a moral document. Do you think of the revenue package as a bit of a moral document as well?
I do, because whatever the budget is going to have to be supported by the revenue to actually bring it into fruition. So yes, it is in many regards a moral document as well. And in this instance, it's a 1,611-page moral document.
And if we were to not have the revenue necessary to fund our budget, what would happen?
There would be chaos in the streets.
Could you describe some of these issues for us?
No, genuinely, if we were unable to fund our budget, I mean, there would be plenty of people who are unfortunately in vulnerable positions who would not be taken care of in a way that we, particularly on this side of the aisle, want to see them taken care of.
Thank you so much for all your care and attention to this. I encourage and I vote.
You're welcome.
Our final speaker will be Representative Willhauer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the bill.
To the bill.
Almost $1 billion. Almost $1 billion in tax increases in this state is what we're seeing right now. You know what I constantly hear from people in my area, people in my district? Why does my government hate me? You know what else I hear? We're tired of paying for incompetent government in the state of Illinois. And let's make no mistake, the regular working folks in this state that foot every bill, they're going to be footing this one too. It's not going to be the lobbyists out on the rail. It's not going to be the insiders. It's not going to be the NGOs that benefit, get special payment from all this stuff. It's going to be moms and dads and seniors and small business owners. The same people who survived COVID. They've survived inflation. They've survived interest rates. They've survived labor shortage, survived the crime in this state. survived regulations, survived $77 billion in tax increases. And what do we get from J.B. Pritzker and the Democrats over there? Do we get a thank you? No. No, we need $1 billion more. That's more from you, more from our customers, more from your employees, more from our local communities, more. When's it ever going to be enough? This isn't governing. It's an addiction. This state is addicted to spending money it doesn't have. It's addicted to creating programs it can't afford. It's addicted to making promises it can't keep. And it's addicted to coming back to the taxpayers constantly to clean up the mess. Since 2019, taxpayers in this state have been hit with $77 billion in tax increases. $77 billion. And after all of that, after all of the income tax increases, gas tax increases, fee increases, hidden taxes, the automatic hikes, to new charges, to budget gimmicks, after taking tens of billions from the people in this state, Springfield's still broke. How's that possible? How do you take that much money from people and still show up at the end of May saying, we need another billion? Answer that. Where'd our money go? Why is it never enough? And why is the solution always the same people paying more? Families in this state have already cut back. They cut back on vacations. They cut back on eating out. They cut back on extras for their kids. They cut back on savings. They cut back on the retirement. They cut back because they had to. But does our government ever cut back? Hell no, it doesn't. This government grows, this government expands, this government spends, this government promises, this government sucks the life out of every taxpayer in this state. You make things unaffordable, then you lecture people about shared sacrifice. Well, the people in this state have sacrificed enough, and we could fix this all today. $77 billion in increased taxes clearly states that we don't have a revenue problem. We could lower and cap property taxes. We could cut we could
Thank you so much.
cut ridiculous.
Representative Blair Sherlock is recognized.
Let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. I will not be lectured to the bill. I will not be lectured about excessive state spending at a time when I am watching billion-dollar ballrooms being built, private jets being, stop it, private jets being flown around by staff to go to their girlfriend's concerts while SNAP benefits are cut, while Medicaid is cut, while Medicare is cut, while people are desperately trying to get health care. We as a state are trying to fill in gaps created by the federal government and their excess, their oligarchical excesses on the backs of those people that you say that you're fighting for. You're not fighting for them. You're fighting for the millionaires and the billionaires and the oligarchs. We're here trying to get things for everyday people. Gas prices are soaring, and not because of anything the state of Illinois did. Gas prices are soaring because
Please bring your
one
remarks to a
man
close.
made a decision, and the federal Congress just conceded all power to him, and we are all paying the price, including the government of the state of Illinois. I urge a yes vote. Thank you.
Top of the close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to present this package. I appreciate all of my colleagues weighing in. I'm going to urge an aye vote, but before I do that, I just want to take a quick moment to thank the Revenue and Finance staff from budget and legal and everywhere else. Thank you all for all you've done all year. Certainly appreciate it. Madam Clerk, Mr. Clerk, the folks who keep us on time, in our committees, we certainly appreciate you all. We can agree to disagree on other things, but one thing we can all agree is that our staff on both sides of the aisle are absolutely wonderful. We're indebted to you, and obviously I urge and I vote.
Members, Representative Szymanski has requested verification. All members will be in their chairs, vote their own switches. The question is, shall Senate Bill 3019 pass? All in favor vote aye, all opposed vote no. The voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Mr. Clerk, please read the name. Please take the record. On this question, there are 73 voting yes, 41 voting no, 0 voting present. Mr. Clerk, please read the names of those voting in the affirmative.
A poll of those voting in the affirmative: Representative Ammons, Representative Andrade, Representative Avalar, Representative Blair Sherlock,
Representative Szymanski is recognized.
I'd like to withdraw the verification.
On this question, there are 73 voting yes, 41 voting no, and 0 voting present. And the bill having received a constitutional majority is hereby declared passed.